I'm very happy to introduce our amazing panelists today. First of all, let's welcome Sarah Birch, who is our Associate Director for Admission and Recruitment Office. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Zizi, and welcome everyone. As Zizi shared, my name is Sarah Birch. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an Associate Director of Admissions and Recruitment for the Brown School. I've been at the Brown School for almost 6 years and very happy to support and answer any questions that you have about the application process, and then of course, next steps, which we'll be talking about today. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Sarah. Next, let's welcome Tammy Orford, who is the Director of Global Programs. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you. Welcome. So my name is Tammy Orhood. I'm the Director of Global Programs. I use she, her pronouns. I've been at the Brown School almost 8 years. As Director of Global Programs, I do a wide variety of things at the Brown School related to global, including supporting our international students, but also working with our global practicum process and our field-based courses that are overseas, and with the faculty who are doing global research and lots of really fun stuff. So I'm very happy to be here and to welcome you to the Brown School. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. And as for me, I'm Zizi Shishili. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm currently the Manager of Global Programs at the Brown School. I came to the Brown School many years ago as a previous international student, for MSW program. And nowadays, I'm supporting international students and scholars here. So very happy to be here today to help you, just answer a couple of questions you may have. And then last but not least, we also have an amazing student support, Zan In. He's currently a first-year MSW student supporting this program. So very happy to have this amazing panel to, be in this session. So next, we would like to address a lot of really key issues and questions you may have. Zan, could you please jump into the next slide, please? So first of all, I would like to invite Sarah to talk a little bit about, cost of attendance for our program. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you. And so I do want to first just start off by saying that the information that you see here on this slide is meant to be used as estimates. Of course, the tuition and fees from the Brown School, those things that you see in red, are the actual costs associated with tuition for the master's level programs. I know we do have some doctoral folks here, and we'll certainly share information that will be pertinent to you. This information is very much for our master's level students though. And what this is just, as I said, an estimate of the cost of attendance, including living expenses and other expenses that you may incur when you are a student at the Brown School. Now, we are sharing this information as in accordance with a federal guideline. And so the numbers that you see may not actually be what you actually end up spending, but are meant to help you kind of gauge how much you may need to afford, coming to the program. So you could borrow if you're using any loans up to this amount. And we'll talk about, other funding opportunities that we know are available to international students specifically later in this session, but wanted to be very clear about the cost of attendance. You'll also be getting a lot of this information outlined in the DCOF process, which we'll be talking about here shortly. And so be on the lookout for more information from the Office of Admissions and from the Office of International Students and Scholars about what you'll be required to show proof of funds for when it's time for you to submit your intent to enroll.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for this really important information. Currently, we are still working for the communication, regarding more specific guidance about, how to prep for DCOF, or, what the amount of financial supporting documents that you need to provide. So please keep an eye on your email. So we will send out those really important communication very, very soon. And also we will talk a little bit about at the end of the program is that, so we will have Admit Student Week, which is coming in March, the last week of March. We offer both virtual and in-person sessions. So during those sessions, we will also send out more important communication and also materials that you can refer to. So yeah, just stay tuned, and then thank you for your patience in advance. So next slide, please. So first of all, I want to say big congratulations again to individuals who are already admitted to the Brown School. This is a very exciting moment to, to advance your next journey. We are very happy for you, and also we are looking forward to connect with you through different types of formats like the virtual sections or Admit Student Week. So in order to secure your spot for the fall 2023 cohort, you really need to confirm your decision by May 1st, 2023. So if you decided to accept or decline your admission offer, you need to go through your WashU graduate admission portal to select your admission offer confirmation. If you decided to accept your offer, a credit card or a debit card is required to pay non-refundable $200 advance deposit. Please remember that this $200 will be applied to your tuition and fees for the fall 2023 term. So please remember to, confirm your decision by May 1st. And for individuals who receive your offer after April 15th, you need to confirm your decision within 2 weeks. Next slide, please. Okay. So you may wonder, like, what's DCOF? So DCOF is Declaration and Certification of Finances. This is a very important documentation for you as an international student to get a very important I-20 documents in order to proceed your following visa application process. So what's DCOF? So what can I use to, show that I have the financial support for my tuition and expenses? So we will ask you to fill in a DCOF form, and then also providing some supporting documentations. Acceptable supporting documentations include a bank statement, a bank letter, or a letter detailing a sponsorship or external sponsorship. We were provided the template from our Office for International Student and Scholar. We will provide a, just a template for you to fill in some information, important information. And all these supporting documents have to meet the following criteria. So they have to include the date of the letter, which cannot be older than 6 months. And also it has to show the account holder's full name in English. So this can be directly under your name, or maybe your sponsor's name, for example, your parents' name. And the letter must contain an official logo, seal, and stamp from the financial institute. Last but not least, all these bank, letters or other supporting documents must be printed in English and on official bank letterhead. So it has to be very official. And then we will send out more specific DCOF guideline later. So please keep an eye on your email for those important communication. Next slide, please. Some more DCOF instructions. So after you complete, your DCOF form or, have your supporting documents ready, you can submit them either via mail or email, no later than May 1st, 2023, or within 2 weeks for individuals who are admitted after April 15th. We strongly recommend you submit your these documents via email to Brown admission email account, because this would help us to, process your documents sooner than the mail. So we will recommend you to do it. And the other piece is that all these DCOF and supporting documents should be in original files. So if you choose to email these documents to us, you have to scan them and then, email them to us. We cannot accept the photographs or screenshots of these documents. After we receive your documents, we will provide these documents and some important information to WashU's Office for International Student and Scholar, which is also called OISS, to start processing your I-20. So if you have your financial documents ready, we strongly recommend you to send them to us as early as possible, so that we could, have your I-20 earlier, especially during the peak processing time. So those are for the international student who are not currently in the US. But if you are currently in the US or already have an F1 visa, we will ask you to complete the necessary process, which may include submit a change of status or transferring. But this is really this depends on the individual's, situation. And if you are in this category, please feel free to email us, and then we will answer your questions more specifically. Next slide, please. So after you get your I-20, you complete your DCOF, submit it, get your I-20, you can start applying for your F1 visa. And this is the guideline we received from the OISS office, because the visa application process sometimes can be a little bit stressful. And we really want to provide this information for you in order to, answer some questions and help you to make this process easier. So after you get your I-20, you can start looking around your local US embassy or consular office website. So to prepare for your visa application and request a visa interview. So you have to really take a look at your local US embassy or consular website, because each places might have slightly different interview or visa application process. So take a look on those websites. And then you can start prepare for your online visa application, which is also called DS-I-16. It's an online application form. You have to register for the account and then follow the application guidelines step by step, and then pay your application fee and request an interview visa. I will post a really important link here because each office, they may have different estimated time for, just waiting period for requesting appointments. So please feel free to use this official website to, just have a sense of the timeline of your visa application process. The other component that I want to share is the SAVIS fee. SAVI is the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System. So for international students who want to apply for F1 or other, types of visas, they have to pay different types of fee. I just take a look, and this year for F1 student, the application fee is $315. So you can pay the fee before you go to your US visa interview at the United States Embassy or consular. The payment doesn't have to be complete until you appear to for the interview, and you can schedule an interview before you make the SAVIS fee payment. But please remember that you want to allow about at least three business days for the payment to be received and verified. So I'm gonna also put the post the Savis Q&A section so that you can check their official website for more specific questions. So after go through the application process, request interview, and also pay the fee, you may want to think about the documents that you want to bring with you for the interview. There are many important documents. For example, you may want to include a copy of your WashU offer letter or your passport, and etc. We would this really depends on the each individual's situation. So we strongly recommend you to use the official website for more specific information. So next slide. I will pass it to Tammy to talk a little bit more about how to get to the St. Louis and where you can stay in St. Louis. Tammy.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so St. Louis is a metropolitan area of around 3 million people. If you aren't familiar with it already, behind my head is the St. Louis Arch, which is a monument that's taller than the Statue of Liberty. You can go to the top. There's a great museum underneath, because St. Louis is the city that people started from when they went west, back when the United States was starting. So St. Louis is a city of neighborhoods. So you can't just, you want to have a really good idea of which neighborhood makes the sense for you. This is especially true if you have school-age children and you're going to want to enroll them in the schools, because there's a lot of choices there. So you see a map right here that has a blue line. This happens to be the border of our campus to home. So that doesn't mean you can't live outside of that, but a lot of students do look within these areas, because then there's a free shuttle to take students home if they are studying late at night. A green area there is Forest Park, which is the largest public park in the United States. Lots of free things to do there. And you can see some of the museums and the zoo, and it's literally right on the doorstep of WashU. So some neighborhoods that are close to WashU where you'll find a lot of student housing are the Loop, which is actually in University City. The Loop is Delmar Boulevard, and it's called the Loop because there was and I guess there still is now, a trolley system that would loop through that. It's a great pedestrian and student street with lots of restaurants and things to do and concert venues, and some of WashU's housing is there, and a lot of students will live just on this map. I guess it's north of the Loop. Then you also have Clayton, which is west of the university, and Brentwood. Clayton is actually the government seat for St. Louis County. Just to make things even more complicated, St. Louis is divided into a county and the city, and they both have their own governments. So you'll see a lot of little sky rises and the government center for the St. Louis County. And then on the other side of Forest Park, you can't see it on this map, but that's the Central West End, which is where the medical school is. We often have students doing practicum or research assistantships on the other end of that. Lots of housing there because of the medical school. It's a nice urban area, walkable, again, lots of restaurants and things like that. And then even to the south, you'll see Richmond Heights, and just a little bit south of that, which you can't see on this map, is Maplewood, which is where I live. Maplewood, Richmond Heights, Clayton are also all on the Metrolink. You will get a free U-Pass, which will allow you to ride the subway metro system and all of the buses so that you can navigate some of these areas. But if you're trying to figure out where, and you find a house, you can always reach out to one of us to see if this makes sense, if it's not one of the ones that's listed on this slide. Okay, next slide. A couple of resources. So WashU does own many apartments around the campus. They have their own housing system called Quadrangle Housing, and then also Parallel. You can often tell if they're WashU owned because they paint the doors red and green. So this is a great place to start. We know they're reputable and that the university has checked them out. Another one is the apartment referral service. So this also has an affiliation with WashU. And so these are privately owned apartments in the neighborhood surrounding campus, but since WashU slightly vets them, it's a good place to start. I know a lot of students find their housing really through social media. We're going to give you those links later on, but if you're on WeChat, students may post there looking for roommates. There's also a couple of Facebook pages that are very active, including the Brown Incoming Student Facebook page. You can use that to look for neighborhoods, apartments, and also roommates. There's also another larger Facebook page that's the Sublet Facebook page. And so if you have students that might be going to study abroad or doing an internship that need someone to take over their lease, or maybe they had someone graduate and they have a room available, that's another really great resource for finding housing. Let me see, you can go on. Let me just check. Yeah, Sarah's putting some of those links in the chat, so we can go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm happy to ask more questions about answer more questions about housing, but I'm going to move on to some other requirements. This is something that sometimes trips students up, so it's really important. So first of all, every WashU student is required to be vaccinated against COVID-19, and you may in fact need this to travel to the United States. So please do check with your airlines, and this could change at any moment still. So you want to be up to date on that. You're also going to be required to be vaccinated against measles, mumps, and rubella, which in the United States we call MMR. If you did this at home, you can use those records. They do have to be translated into English, so there's a process for that. And then you also need to get a skin test for tuberculosis. And I do know that if you received the tuberculosis vaccine that would have been in your shoulder, that was a live vaccine, you are always going to test positive, and so then you're going to have a blood draw. So these are just some things that you'll need to think about when you come to the United States. You can get these vaccinations if you don't have them through HABIF, which is our health center. You can do the skin test there. You can go ahead and sign up for that once you've set up your Wustel key. But this is something that you want to prioritize to get done. You don't have to do it before classes start, but you certainly need to do it soon, because it will impact your ability to register for the spring semester, because they will put holds on everyone's account who has not gotten this done. So it's something you want to make sure you get taken care of before you really get involved in classes. And then there's also a health history and meningitis information form on this student health portal. The student health portal is through the HABIF Health Center. And again, you'll need your Wustel key to do that, but there'll be information in the packet that you'll get from Brown School and from many different people, actually. So I just wanted to mention this now, just so this is something that you're aware of and that you can be gathering documents if you received any of these in your home country, and, thinking about translating, and make sure you put this on your to-do list. Zane, next slide, please. Okay, so I mentioned this before. There's several different ways for students to stay connected. So if you are on Facebook, or if you're not, and now might be a good time to join it, because we do have the Brown School Admitted Students page, which is really a wealth of information, not only to meet your fellow students, to ask questions, to find roommates, there's students who are already in the Brown School who are on that page. We also have a page specifically for international students through our International Student Association student group, which I'm the faculty advisor for. That group will do events throughout the year, and we will specifically target ones that we think are of interest. For example, today we have a global table where one of our faculty members who's international, who's from Uganda, is going to talk about her career path, and we're bringing in some African food. And then if you're a Mandarin speaker, we have WeChat as well, which is another great reference. There is an official Brown School page, so you would definitely want to join that. You can also have an individual account and make sure you use the Worcester Brown School one there. Yeah, and then lastly, just some important dates that are coming up. So we do have virtual programming through our Admitted Student Week. So if you'd like an opportunity to see the Brown School virtually, talk to a wide variety of faculty and staff and current students, alumni even, I think, make sure you sign up for that. If you are in the United States or want to make the trip, we are doing on-campus programming on April 1st, which is a Saturday. Would love to see you in person. And I'm sure you're well aware, but May 1st is the deadline to confirm your intent to enroll. So we're working really hard to read all the applications. I'm sure we had a question earlier about McDonald Academy. They're well aware of this deadline as well. So you will hear from the Brown School and from the McDonald Academy if you applied before May 1st so that you can confirm your intent to enroll. And then put these on your calendar now, especially the students who have been admitted. The international student orientation, which is mandatory if you're on an F1 visa, is going to be on August 21st and 22nd. So if you're trying to figure out when to arrive, please plan to arrive at least by the 21st, maybe give yourself a day or two to get over that jet lag. And then the Brown School orientation for all admitted students is August 23rd and 25th. That's also mandatory. So that'll be before the start of the classes, which I believe this year is on the 28th. Or 27th, whatever that Monday is. Okay, so next slide, Zane. I think we are ready to move into questions. Let me just take a look at the chat here. Yeah. Okay, so if you have a question, you can put it in the Q&A, you can put it in the chat. We have some questions that were sent in earlier. What do you want to know?
So there's a question regarding the DCOF. Sarah, would you mind just further explain this process?
Yeah, absolutely. So Zizi shared a little bit about what we are looking for and what kind of documents that you'll be asked to submit for the DCOF. Please know that you'll be sent very detailed instructions on all of this too. And so this is not the only time or place that you'll hear about the DCOF. We'll be sending a lot more details in the coming weeks, and you'll be receiving those from OISS and our office. And so be on the lookout keep an eye on your email for that kind of information. And that will kind of outline the specific documents that you'll need to submit in order to have your DCOF processed.
Thanks, Sarah. Let's just go through this Q&A section first. The other question is about I applied for MPH and McDonald Scholar Academy. When is the deadline to receive admission later for both applications, Sarah?
Yeah, so depending on when you submitted your application to the Master of Public Health program, you should receive an admission decision from us from 6 to 8 weeks from when you completed your application. And then McDonald Scholars, they operate on a separate timeline than we do. Typically, they make offers to folks by the end of this month. I would say no later than the end of the month. So if you'd like to wait until you hear back from McDonald before, making any decisions about your admission to the Brown School, that's certainly fine. As we shared, the deadline to submit your intent to enroll is May 1. So you have plenty of time to get all of those decisions in front of you before you make your final decision on whether you are admitted. If you have questions about McDonald specifically, I'd recommend reaching out to them directly. But just know that if you've submitted by their deadline, which I believe was January 31st, your application is likely under review and you will likely receive some information from them in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Sarah. And here are a lot of questions regarding like, part-time opportunities, research assistance, this sort of like on-campus opportunities here. I can answer this question. So we do have a lot of available, either research opportunities or any type of like part-time job opportunities, for example, like working for IT or library and etc. We have those opportunities available for the international for sure. And currently at the Brown School, our hourly rate is $15 per hour. An international student can work part-time up to 20 hours for spring and fall semester per week. And if you are in summer, you can work as a full-time student worker up to 40 hours per week. I don't know about, each employment position might look a little bit different, and the way that they promote their job opportunities might be different. Sometimes it can be through word of mouth, or sometimes from admission office. We will usually gather a lot of important part-time opportunities after students are enrolled in the Brown School. So more to come. And the other part is that you are always welcome to take a look at our faculty website page, just reach out to them directly because some students may find some, opportunity directly through faculty member. I noticed that Tammy also want to add a little bit points. Tammy, feel free to.
Yeah, so you covered it that you can legally work up to 20 hours a week on campus. We do have a lot of students who are working in part in those positions, whether it's working for a research center, working as an RA for a faculty member, working for the med school, working in one of the offices in the Brown School, or even on campus elsewhere. There are assistantships you can apply for now. One of them is the Master's Research Fellow. For students that are really interested in research, that's where you get paired with a specific faculty member. And we will have a career fair during orientation, so make sure you sign up for that. All of the both opportunities in St. Louis, which would not work for international students unless they're on campus, but centers on campus. Some of the ones that Zitzi mentioned that hire a lot of international students are IT, the library, the service center, libraries across campus, some of the even like residence halls and things like that. So there are absolutely opportunities for students to work at the Brown School.
Thanks, Tammy. The other questions is also related to funding. So we addressed the graduate assistantship part. And also, like, are there other funding opportunities? Sarah, would you mind addressing this question?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to post in the chat a link to external organization scholarship opportunities. We maintain a pretty robust list of organizations that offer scholarship to a wide variety of eligibility. Folks who are interested in social work, folks who are interested specifically in public health. There is a section there that is specific to international students. And so I highly recommend reviewing this pretty thoroughly, and also know that this isn't exhaustive. And so there may be other funding opportunities outside of this list that we're not aware of. And so do your research to see if there are opportunities within your home country that may provide funding, but this external scholarship offering list should be a pretty good start for you.
Thanks, Sarah. There's another questions in the chat regarding available scholarship for international students. Sarah, would you mind taking these questions? Thank you.
Sure. So outside of the external funding opportunities that I just posted, everyone who's admitted to the program and would like to be considered for scholarship from the Brown School will be awarded scholarship. It is important to note that scholarship from the Brown School is mostly partial tuition scholarship. So it is not going to cover all of your tuition. And so the rest of the funds will need to be supplemented by other sources. So those external scholarships, like I said, if there are opportunities within your home country that may offer funding availability. If you have more specific questions about your unique financial situation, you may reach out to our financial aid office and discuss with them what other options may be available to you. Unfortunately, loans from the federal government are only available to domestic students, and so any loan that you may receive would need to be sought out outside of the United States process for that. But like I said, if you have questions about your unique financial situation, because everyone's is different, you can reach out to the Office of Financial Aid, and I'll post their contact information there too.
Thanks, Sarah. The next question is about the cohort size for MPH and how diverse would it be based on the past cohort. Tammy, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, so Sarah might have a better idea of what it's looking like, but based on last year's cohort, we have, I think we have between 80 and 100 students. And it's very diverse. So we have about I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head. I can say as a group, Chinese students are about 25% of the international student population, which is like 30 to 40% of the MPH. And then as a group, not from one individual country, but from a group, African students is the next largest group. So we draw from a wide variety of African countries, which is great. And then we'll have another, small group of students from Latin America and another smaller group of students from other Asian countries. So it's a very diverse international student population, which is fantastic and something that we're really proud of. Our international students tend to be incredibly accomplished. They come with a lot of work experience and education and really great lived experience, and they add a lot to the MPH program and to the Brown School as a whole.
Thanks, Tammy. The next question, so first of all, Zane, could you please go to the slide 4? So this question is about some guidelines on steps requiring to process international student visa, and when does WashU usually kickstart the process of newly admitted international students. So just like I mentioned earlier, so after you are admitted to the Brown School, you want to confirm your decision by May 1st, 2023. If you receive your admission offer after April 15th, you want to confirm, your intended to enroll and also start working on your DCOF and supporting documents within 2 weeks in order to secure a spot for the upcoming cohort. So like I mentioned earlier, we will send out more specific guideline on, how to prepare for the DCOF, documents, but based on our previous year's experiences. So DCOF form, we will send out the instruction to fill in. I think this year will be through email, sorry. And then you fill in that form, and then you can also prepare for some financial supporting documents. It can be a bank letter or your bank statement, or a sponsor's supporting letter shows that they have capacity to support your tuition fee and other expenses during the study in the US. So this is just kind of like the general start of, prepping for your documents in order to come to the US. And then Zane, you can go to the next slide. So after you get prepared for your DCOF, we will send this verified documents to our Office for International Student and Scholar, and they will start processing your I-20 documents. So after you get your I-20 documents, you can start applying for your F1 visa through your local US embassy or consular website and fill in the application form, pay the application fee, and etc. So this is just a very, very general like process of getting, your visa ready. But again, we will send out more specific like guidelines to make sure that we help you throughout the whole process. You are not alone. So
And we're
Can I
ZT.
add to, oh, go ahead, Tammy, sorry.
I was going to say, we're also partnering with OISS to provide some tips and guidance on the actual interview at the consulate, so that we can help students be successful in that process. So look for that as well, because there's sort of things you want to do and things you don't want to do when you're at the U.S. consulate and applying for a student visa. So look for that.
And I just wanted to share too that we anticipate that WashU will be sending out information about how to start submitting DCOF documents within the next couple weeks. So I mentioned earlier, just keep an eye on your email and you'll get a lot of detailed instructions on how to do all of that. This hopefully will just give you a sense of what to start preparing for. And then once we send that information, like I said, in the next couple weeks, so mid-March, no later than the end of March, you'll start receiving that information so you can get those documents going.
And Sarah, we had a question in the chat about deferrals. So the visa process is exactly the same, even if you're deferring, but maybe you could touch on what the reactivation process for deferrals looks like.
Sure. So I know several of you are waiting for your updated admission decision after you've activated your deferral. We expect those decisions to go out by the end of this week. So hopefully you will hear from us. And if you don't, please reach out to the Office of Admissions and Recruitment next week, and we'll give you a status update on what your decision is. But by the end of the week, those decisions will be going out. And as Tammy said, all of these processes for submitting DCOF, obtaining your I-20 will be exactly the same.
Mm-hmm. And I'll go ahead and take the next one because it's about GPO support for practicum and field study. So I am a field faculty liaison for students who are doing our global health, and if we have any social work students here, our international social economic and development majors, because they are strongly encouraged to do practicum overseas. So if that's something that you're interested in, we'll be working on that. For PhD students, your first point of reference should be your advisor, because your field research is going to be very, very specific to what your dissertation topic is. And so they may have some ideas on, and you may have some ideas on where that should be and who you would partner with. It's possible that we may have a university or an agency or something like that we could reach out to if you don't really have any ideas, but certainly after that, GPO will be a reference for all of the logistics around traveling, including all of the WashU requirements, because you have to register in our travel system and you have to have travel insurance, and there's several things that you have to do to travel as a WashU funded student. So we are a support for that, but really your first step around, where and how and who do I do field research, you should be having those conversations with your advisor.
Thanks, Tammy. The next questions is, are there any available loan opportunities for international students? Sarah, I'm looking at you.
Sure. So this is always a tricky question because, as I shared earlier, the loans that are available through the federal government in the United States are limited to domestic students only. And so unfortunately, international students are not eligible to apply for FAFSA, which is the process for getting loans through the federal government here. There may be loan opportunities in your home country. It really depends on where you live and what kind of opportunities are available there. And so I shared too that you could reach out to the Office of Financial Aid to learn a little bit more Our knowledge of loan opportunities is limited for international students, but we can offer some tips on how to navigate that process to you. So
Thanks, Sarah. The next question is about, I think it's about the timeline between the admission decision and resumption. So one can, will have enough time to process their visa. So it really depends on your current situation. If you submit your, your application before the March 1st priority deadline, I think you will receive your admission decision really soon. But if you submit your application after March 1st, it will take about 6 to 8 weeks in order for us to process your application and then send out the decision later. So for international student, we strongly recommend you to submit your application as soon as possible, because there are several steps following the decision later. And Sarah, please feel free to, or Tammy, feel free to add any, I think, if I miss anything. Tammy.
Yeah, just we keep talking about this DCOF, so that is important. That getting that into WashU is one of the few parts of this process that you can control. So you should be gathering that information now. You're going to hear from admissions what the actual amounts and that DCOF is going to go out. Sarah, when did you say that you expect to send that to students?
yeah, we'll be sending those probably within the next couple weeks. So by mid-March, you should have all of that information in your email. And then another place to keep your eye on is admitted student, and I'm sorry about the noise in the background if you heard that. Another place to keep an eye on is admitted student resources. We're going to be posting a lot of information there on the website, so I'll link that in the chat as well.
Thank you, Tammy and Sarah. I just reshared the link for the estimated appointment waiting time. So if feel free to just take a look, type in where you are or where you are looking for your visa appointment, because each location, their time frame will look very, very different. Some places there will be more appointments, so the waiting time will be longer. So it also kind of depends on your office, like the situation, because last year we did have some student who couldn't get their visa appointment in time. So feel free to take a look, and that will also help you to plan your next steps. So
yeah, coming out of COVID last year, some of the consulates were just not staffed up, and some appointment times were hard to get. So I just want to reiterate, though, you have to have that I-20 in order to make an appointment, because it's got your CVIS number on it, which usually starts with an N, and that's a unique number for you. And that means you're in the CVIS system, which is the visitor system. So it's all a process, but having an idea about timelines and doing your part will help.
Thanks, Tammy. The next questions is about any if WashU or Brown School have any support system or facilities for students coming with their family, especially with younger children. Tammy.
Yeah, I'll start. So we do have a graduate student office, which is located in our student center, which is also where our OISS office is. They have been gathering a lot of resources for this. I've heard too that they've actually, through our provost office, have released some more money for childcare. Childcare in the United States, unfortunately, is a very complicated, fragmented, and somewhat expensive process. You can start as young as infants, but it's very expensive. Once the child gets to the age of 3, they can go to preschool, and you can do that through some of the school districts, which is more affordable, but you have to get in. So that's why deciding where you're going to live is has ramifications for the schooling of your children. So I have navigated this process myself. I'm very happy to talk offline if you have children about, what are good places to live and, what makes sense for childcare, because it's tough in the United States because it's just not very centralized. But there's a lot of, CT just put the link in the chat. There's a lot of great resources there for graduate students who are parents.
Thanks, Tammy. We do have current students who come to the US, with their children. Like we have it's just such great thing that we have like really strong community network. So if you are coming here and have like really unique situation, maybe you want to find a school for your children or so, you're always welcome to connect with me or Tammy, and then we will refer you to students who have the similar situation, and hopefully this could bring you a little bit more information about how to navigate the system here, how to find a more like a family-friendly place to stay.
And if your child is 5 or older by July 1st, then the schooling is free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot, and also a lot of people choose to live in the Clayton district. You don't need to own a house here as long as you have the apartment, maybe really the contract or utility bills. You can use those documents to help your children to enroll in the school, and it's mostly free, right? If please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's entirely free for students. There's no uniform charges. There's no tuition charges. Kindergarten starts at age 5. Some of the school districts only have half-day kindergarten. Kindergarten's a little different, but there's no charge. Public schooling is free in the United States. I'll also put a plug in for the Maplewood Richmond Heights School District, which is where my kids attend. I love it. It's a lot smaller. So it's maybe a little bit more diverse than Clayton too. So yeah, happy to talk about that offline.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. And the next question is about when should we fly to the US? Zane, could you please go to the slide 12? So, we have orientation for not just international students, but also the overall Brown School community. Our first day for, Brown School International orientation will be on August 21st. This is mandatory, so we strongly recommend you not to arrive later than that day, because during the orientation, we will provide a lot of really helpful resources for you. For example, to navigate the, the insurance system, like some English proficiency resources, etc. So you want to make sure you come to the US no later than August 21st.
But the earliest you can arrive is 30 days before the start of classes. So you can arrive at the beginning of August.
Yeah. So that will give you a lot of time, to maybe just get a bank account, car, or, buy some furniture and etc. The next question is about our email address. Yes, Zane, could you please go to the last slide? You're welcome to connect with us through social media or through email address. For the admission, we recommend you to go through the Brown School admissions, email. If you want to connect with Global Programs Office, you can either contact me or Tammy directly. Okay, thanks.
There's a question in the chat about reusing a CVIS number if you deferred. If your CVIS number was issued no more than 12 months ago, then yes, you can reuse it. So you're going to have to go back to those original documents and see what the date is of issue for that CVIS number. And if it's less than 12 months, then you can reissue it. Unfortunately, if it's more, you're going to have to repay the fee and get a new number.
Thanks, Tammy. I know that we are almost at the end of our info section. We are happy to take a last questions. Okay, that's another one. Okay, this question is about I-20 Will the school provide that? And what is
Yeah, let me take this question because we want to be really clear about. So the document that's issued by the federal government that gives you a unique SEVIS number. SEVIS is the system that the US government basically uses to keep track of all foreign nationals in the United States. So yes, we provide that document. You will have to provide all your financial information. That's why we keep talking about the DCOF. You provide that to the Brown School. They're going to check through all of that. They then send it to our Office of International Students and Scholars. They're the only ones who are allowed to process the I-20. It has to come from that office. And one of the things they're doing is entering all of your information into that SEVIS system and generating a unique SEVIS number. And then once you have that SEVIS number, then you can go make an appointment at the consulate because you have to have the number in order to do that. So the process is DCOF to the Brown School, I-20 from OISS, appointment at the consulate. So hopefully that clarifies it. I know we keep throwing around all these acronyms and numbers, but that is the process. So great. So actually a question about transferring. So if you are already in the United States, you want to transfer your SEVIS record from that school to WashU. So that means you keep the same number. And it's a much easier process. You don't have to leave the country to do that. So you will be receiving information. If that's the case, you can reach out to OISS. Actually, if Zeetzi or someone can put the link to the OISS page in the chat, then you can initiate that process. And it's just transferring your SEVIS record from your previous school to WashU.
There's a question following with the how long does it take, to process I-20? Tammy, would you like to?
Yeah, that is a really good question. I think OISS has an estimate. And I can't remember off the top of my head. That is the process that can be somewhat lengthy because they are processing every single I-20 for every single international student in the entire WashU undergrad, graduate, medical school, etc.
I think it's about 4, it can take up to 4 weeks.
That's what I was going to say, 4 weeks. And yes, submitting your, not your actual passport, but a copy, your passport information, you will need that for the I-20 as well. Mm-hmm. It's one of the questions in the chat.
Yeah. So last year, sometimes it would take a little bit longer because the information, a lot of times for international students, we will mix up with the, but people may mix up with the first name and last name. So before you submit all these documents to the Brown School, please make sure they are all accurate. Double check with your passport, your bank statements, and etc. Because if you have any, information that's incorrect, even though just your name, that would, just take longer for us, to send the document back to you or from the OISS. So please make sure the document is accurate.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
Everyone has to do this DCOF process, regardless of what you're studying, what level you are, even if you have a full tuition scholarship. Now you can include the letter from WashU that says whether or not you're getting a stipend or a scholarship. You can include that as part of your financial documents for the DCOF, but everyone has to go through the same process regardless of what your funding is.
And the estimated amount of money you put really depends on your program. And then we will send out really, really specific guidelines very, very soon. So please follow, just keep an eye on our important communication, and then you will get the number. I know that we will have, there was always more questions coming up, but we would love to address the final 2 questions, and so that we can be really respectful for everyone's time. First of all is that can we change the our program to Accelerate 1?
So It depends on what program you're doing. The only accelerated program we have is for like social work students who already have bachelor's in social work. They can then do our, oh my God, it just flew out of my head. What do we call the social work?
Advanced standing.
Yes, like starts with an A. I have not had enough coffee. Yes, social work students can do an advanced standing program that's shorter, but the other programs are not accelerated. So a typical social work and public health degree is 2 years. PhD is a little bit on the student, but you know, most of the funding is for at least 4 years, and it may take longer.
The last question is about, so we have a student received a full scholarship, but do they still have to provide financial documents? If yes, where?
Yeah, we answered that. So every student has to go through the DCOF process, regardless of what your Brown School funding is.
Yeah, and even though if you have like full tuition scholarship, you may still want to provide financial information to show that you have support to cover your expenses. For example, rent.
You have to actually.
Yes,
you have to show that you have money to pay the additional expenses.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a U.S. government requirement, not a Brown School requirement.
All right. Just really want to be respectful for our time, but just want to say like big thank you for everyone who, you know, coming here today and then submit a lot of great questions. So if you have further questions and you want to just connect with us to talk about specific, you know, issues or supporting system at a Brown School, resources for international students, you have our contact information. You're welcome to, you know, connect with us in the future. The other piece is that, so this webinar will be recorded. So if you want to review some important information, please take a look at our YouTube channel. We will post them, I think, in 48 to 72 hours. So keep an eye on that. Last but not least, we will have the Admit Student Week coming up at the end of this month. We provide both virtual and in-person sections. So please take a careful look at your email invitation. Make sure you RSVP by March 28th. We will have a lot of, you know, a wonderful curriculum showcase or like offices from different departments at the Brown School. So please don't miss it. Sarah, is there anything that you want to add at the end? No. Okay, good. Thank you so much again. We really appreciate your participation today. Hopefully we will hear from you soon, either at the Mid Student Week or through email or social media's connection. Thank you again, and hope you have a great rest of your day, and good luck on your application season. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you.